My name is Arthur Chang, Chief of Staff and VP of Strategic Initiatives at Sonder. I joined the company about 7 years ago as employee number 8, and we literally IPO'd last week. So it's a very exciting time for us here at Sonder. Today, I'm going to talk about agreement tracking. It's one of the key things that we do really well here that I think has allowed us to thrive over the past 7 years. And we use a system called Asana. Asana is essentially our task management platform, but it's also the nucleus that holds the entire company together. By leveraging this tool, we allow ourselves to hold each other more accountable to action steps that we agree on after meetings and after one-on-ones. So I'm actually going to use 2 examples today to show you how we do agreement tracking. And the 2 examples are the senior leadership team meeting and then the one-on-one project. And again, both of these things will leverage Asana as a tool. So I'll start out with the senior leadership team meeting. We call it the SLT meeting, senior leadership team. And essentially every SLT member will run a recurring monthly meeting, okay? And before each meeting, a doc is sent out, right? And this is an example of the doc. And essentially what we ask all attendees to do is to react to the doc, read the doc, and add comments ahead of time. So you can learn more about the doc itself with Matt and with others. So I'm going to focus on specifically the accountability part of the doc. So this is an example of the meeting, right? We start out with key business updates. We talk about OKRs and traffic lighting. And here's where the accountability, you can see basically from the last meeting, right? There were 3 things that we committed to doing. Right? Eat more vegetables, obtain 10 new leads, and then drink more water. And then right off the bat, we show whether or not these things were completed. Okay. Now, how do we actually create the steps to make sure that the accountability shows up at each meeting? Let's scroll down a bit and look at the problem solution. So let's say hypothetically in this problem, right, we have too many animals at the office, and we go through the problem description, we talk about a potential solution, people put in their feedback, and then we discuss, we debate the problem live, right? And let's say we come to a decision at the end of the day. Okay, at the end of the meeting, we come to a decision. We agreed that we only are allowed to bring 1 animal per day. And there's a sign-up sheet for people, maximum of once a week per person, okay? And then Courtney is to create a sign-up sheet to roll this out by next week. So in most cases, I've seen companies, they agree on all this and it sits in the doc. And then, maybe sometimes people will refer back to the doc or they'll try to add it to their own task manager. But this is how things usually drop off if you don't have a mechanism to connect the dots from decision to action to accountability. So this is how we leverage Asana. If you look at this this project that I've duplicated, okay, and I duplicated it just to get rid of any confidential details, but the mechanics are there. All right. So let's say we just finished this meeting. Okay. So I'm going to add a new meeting. Let's call it the culture meeting. So we actually have someone dedicated at Sonder whose job is to go in to each of these meetings, right? Well, it's not her only job, but part of her job is to look at the decisions that were made at every meeting and all the action steps that were recapped at every meeting. So what this person will do is she will recap. She'll basically say, okay, so here's the problem and here's the decision. So problem, right? We paste the problem in there, okay? And then we paste the decision in there, okay? Very quickly. Essentially, this is shared to the entire senior leadership team. As one of these tasks get created, right, it'll show up in my inbox to say, oh, a new meeting was completed, and here are the decisions that were made at the meeting, okay? From there, we add what's called a subtask. And again, like I'm just going through a high-level example. This is not a step-by-step to-do list. This is more just to show you the system. And anybody who wants a deeper dive can feel free to contact me. Okay, so what is an action step here, right? Courtney to create a sign-up sheet rollout by next week. So we would create this in the subtask, okay? And I would assign it to Courtney. In this case, I'm just going to assign it to, okay, so let's assign it to Courtney. And what we do is we also tag this task into a project, okay? And the project is what we call SLT accountability. And again, I'm going to attach it to the duplicate. Okay, so from there, what happens is, let's go over to that project. Courtney now has a running list of all of the subtasks, all of the action steps that were resulting from all of these SLT meetings. right? And Asana has a custom rule that we built in to automatically assign a due date. Okay, so if you take a look at something that we assigned on before, right? Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this was an action step for me, Arthur, to work with Jane to give more guidance around what these members, whatever, right? Asana automatically assigned a due date. And then it'll also tell you, hey, the task is, Asana will automatically say the task is now overdue. If you aren't able to complete it, please add a status update, blah, 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 blah. So what this does is it pings me as the person that the task was assigned to say, oh, I got a deadline, I got to go and make sure that it is done. But it also pings Courtney, right, who's monitoring this whole system. And if she sees that something is delayed and the assignee hasn't done anything with it, she will then force the assignee to make sure that it's on this accountability table at the next meeting, right? So essentially, we're using Asana to allow the management team to hold each other accountable, to automatically remind ourselves to see, hey, have you done this yet? Have you not done this yet, right? And I think really important to note, by basically having a pretty public display of this accountability table, it helps us achieve results because people know very quickly, right, who consistently misses deliverables, who consistently is late on deliverables, right? And it's all because of this system that we've designed, leveraging Asana and the custom rules in it to allow us to keep each other, to keep all of these things top of mind, right? So that's just, again, a very quick nutshell of how we run the senior leadership team meetings, and then also how we connect the dots from meeting, right, here, to decision, to recapping the decisions here, and then to creating the actual action steps that are now in the system, right? So that's the first example. The second example I'll show you is how we use Asana to do our one-on-one projects. Okay, so I'm going to go to this hypothetical one-on-one project. Okay, this is my one-on-one project with Kate. We run our one-on-ones in Asana, and again, there are different sections that I will skip through today because the point of today is about accountability. But just as a quick preview, right? We always start our one-on-ones with a win. Then we review each other's action steps. Then we talk about a problem and a solution, and we have other topics. So to demonstrate how Asana is used for one-on-one accountability, let's say we talk about this topic, okay? I had a question for Kate. Hey, what is our tracking number for the status of the delivery? Let's say the tracking number is whatever, this number, okay? I comment on it, and now I'll tell myself, Arthur, to track and to track delivery for next meeting, okay? So let's say this was my action step. The beauty of Asana being kind of the agenda for our one-on-one project, right, is that I can drag this directly in the action steps, action items section. And you'll see we've set up the system to default assign it to me, okay? And it's assigned a due date. And we've also set it so that once we approach a due date, or let's say we pass a due date and the task is overdue, this task will trigger an alert for both myself and for Kate. So if this task was assigned to me, then Kate will know that, hey, it's overdue. What the hell, Arthur? What, we agreed on this. Why didn't you do it? If it's for me and it triggers myself, it's a reminder. Oh shit, I committed to doing this. Let me make sure I close it off before it pings another reminder for Kate. Right. So it's again leveraging the system to help us hold each other accountable. I'll stop sharing for a second. This is just more a discussion point. The first question I get when I demo this and when I talk about this with other people is that, will it scale, right? How does a system like this scale with a team that's bigger than, let's say, 20, 30 people? And the answer is we have over 1,000 people at Sonder right now. And it's still working, right? We're still embracing it. And I think the trick is that, I mentioned this earlier, Asana really is the nucleus that holds everybody together. I'll give you an example, right? The real estate and sales teams have Salesforce, finance uses Coupa, right? Tech has Coda. A company probably has 30, 40, 50 pieces of software that teams use on a daily basis. But for Sonder, that single threaded kind of connector is Asana, right? So not only is it a task manager for myself, it's also my way of communicating with other teams. It's also my way of logging, it's almost like our Wikipedia, our internal wiki, if you will. We store a lot of things here in Asana. Because it's such a central part, it's such a nucleus of our existence, Asana really is our common language, right? And the biggest challenge to making sure that people are using it consistently is to onboard them right? And to make sure that they embrace it from day one. So our solution to doing this is in ensuring that Asana training is embedded on really the first day of training, even before then, right? We actually structure our onboarding in Asana, our employee onboarding. So I'll show you that for a second here. We have this sample onboarding, right? How to use this project. The L&D team is excited to welcome you, blah, 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 blah. This is how you use the project. And then you basically go through day one, right? I have to attend my call, and then I have to meet with the manager. I have to meet with the tour guide. And essentially, like, we're almost like structuring your training in Asana. So you have to learn it in order to pass the onboarding and actually do your job, right? And so that's part one, is to integrate Asana into the actual onboarding. Another key step that we do is that we almost have the entire company become cultural champions of Asana, right? So when someone actually Slacks me or emails me instead of using Asana, I'm trained to respond with a very cheeky Asana emoji, right? Which is training their behavior to say, hey, you know what? You should have Asana'd me. So I'm not going to respond to you in Slack. You should take what it is that you asked me about in Slack and put it into Asana instead, right? So we actually, we literally do that, right? And we go so far to show this flow chart here, right? Comms 101, is it urgent? No. Is the recipient list less than 8 people? Or more than 8 people? No. So Asana it, right? So we actually show people the appropriate communication tool for their needs. And 99% of the time, people will try to Slack or email or call when in fact, they should have put it in Asana, right? So again, it's training the right behavior. I think that's another way that we've been able to really kind of scale with Asana, even at over 1,000 people. And I think the last piece is, don't worry, right? As we scaled, I'd say not everybody is an Asana Pro, right? But we are actually working on gamifying, right, Asana style trainings and refreshers. Now, no one wants to watch a training video for hours and hours. And I know this is kind of ironic because this is exactly what you're watching, right? But the way we're doing it is making it more interactive, making it like, hey, out of this team, who scores the highest on this Asana quiz, right? And we can add some silly prizes, just make it more fun so that people that, we've grown to over 1,000 people, but a lot of people joined recently during COVID when maybe our onboarding wasn't tight. So we're going through a company-wide retraining to get everybody up to speed, right? So it's never too late to kind of shift course. Even at 1,000 people, we're confident that we can get everyone performing at that baseline level where it just makes that tool that much more effective, right? So just to recap, we've kind of gone through using Asana to power our senior leadership team meetings. We talked through using Asana as a one-on-one project tool. And then I also addressed just some of the frequently asked questions and how we deal with those. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. But I hope this few-minute preview is helpful to get you started. Thank you very much. Goodbye.